Ron has just brought so many people together, and now you get to continue that. And what a cool story, I can't say enough about it. I'm just so excited that Ron picked you, and you had the wherewithal to say, yeah, I think I need this. I think I need this in my life. It makes me happy, and just talking with you here for the past 10 minutes or 20 minutes or so, it's like I'm going to call you Little Ron. I mean, I know your name's Austin, but I just mean that it's so cool what you're doing. So let's talk some more about it.
Welcome to RC Underground Radio.
Yes, I realize I look like an idiot with this mustache, and I'm okay with it.
The ultimate podcast that covers everything RC.
You don't need to cut anything either. You can just call this the raw, uncut episode. We can leave it at that.
The raw. Yeah.
Are you drinking dollar store soda again? Quit spending your money on RC stuff. You can buy some name brand soda.
RC Underground Radio is your backstage pass to the RC industry. With insiders that are shaping the future of the hobby. The future of the hobby.
When we bring this guest on, I guarantee people are going to go, are you kidding me? He wrote a song for you.
I did. We're going to have to end this soon, huh?
Yeah, no shit. And we're going to have to edit this.
So, here are your hosts, Dave Brinkman and Ryan Ratzloff.
All right, we want to welcome everybody back to the RC Underground Radio Show, and most importantly, we want to thank our guest for coming on tonight, Austin Wentworth. Austin, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Man, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun show, guys. Everybody buckle up. We're going to have a lot of fun. So, Austin, just give us a little background. We didn't give a lot out on on Facebook and stuff. We thought we'd save it so people can find out your background.
Yeah, I mean, California guy, did not grow up doing anything RC related. Grew up playing sports and racing cars, quarter midgets and full-size cars. Then was lucky enough to play some football and went on to play college football and then eventually the NFL. So career's over in the NFL now, and I have settled down in Fresno, California, and just by happenstance got into RC, and I have just been hooked. I mean, from day one.
Okay, so we got to pump the brakes here for a second. How does a former Minnesota Viking, offensive lineman for the Minnesota Vikings, get into RC cars? Now, you race full-size cars, cool. Like, I would figure you'd want to get right back into it and put the right foot down in a full-size car, but RC cars. Explain this one to me.
Yeah, so me and my brother, we've both raced cars our whole life. When I went the football route, I stopped racing. My brother continued. And then my football career got cut short by an injury. So I've got drop foot in my left foot, so I don't have a lot of function of it. So racing race cars using 2 feet, right?
Yeah.
I jumped back in, and I was able to keep up, but my brother's just so much better than I was, and I have a knack for setting cars up. So kind of got out of racing as far as driving, and now I'm just a crew chief for our car. And I was just looking for a hobby to do on the weekends that, didn't cost, have an F-250 truck to go haul to the track. I was like, what can I fill my off weekends with? And it literally started with my girlfriend was her birthday and she wanted a telescope. Let's go to the hobby shop. All right, let's go to the hobby shop. And I go in and I remembered that, hey, you guys used to race cars around here, right? And the guy actually said, no, go to this other hobby shop. They do a lot more racing. So just swung by to, kind of see what was going on. And the owner, who's now my RC father, basically, he's the best guy. He grabbed me and showed me these little cars. And I was, I thought they were just die cast. They looked so small and, nothing impressive. And took me to the back and watched me rip a couple laps off on his car. And I just asked, when's the first race? He says, it's Saturday, 2 days. I'll be here.
Wow. So what was more expensive, the telescope or the RC car?
I think the telescope on day one, but at the end of the first day of racing, I went in and bought 3 more cars. So
All right. Yeah.
Once you get the sickness, you can't get it out of your system. You got to have more of them.
yeah, and what I told my girlfriend at the time, I said, "Oh, they're so inexpensive compared to real cars. Like this isn't bad." Oh, now I've got a garage full of these things, and I don't think that's true anymore.
That's so awesome. Everybody says that about when you get into this hobby. You're like, well, it's going to get expensive. And you're like, yeah, but it's, the 1RC cars, you're anywhere from 200 to, call it 230 if you buy a brand new one out of the box. And the next thing you know, it's like, well, I want to upgrade the charger. I want to upgrade my radio, or, I want to add this hop up or that hop up. And next thing you know, it starts to ramp up, but you can keep it fairly economical. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, you don't have to go out and have $1 million invested in all this stuff.
No, and I mean, I kind of go at it. When I first got it, I just told the hobby shop, I was like, hey, I want the best of the best. What do I need? And so I got everything, but you can pull these things out of the box and you're going to beat people and be competitive. It's incredible. And they handle like a real race car. So like you guys have experienced, a lot of people have racing backgrounds and they can jump into this and it's pretty much the same thing, the same setups.
So of all the different cars, all the 1RC cars you have, or maybe other RC cars, what do you have and which one's your favorite?
Oh man, what don't I have? Probably a shorter list. Currently I'm racing 6 classes. So I've got asphalt modified. I've got midget. I've got a silver crown. I've got a dirt late model, asphalt late model, and street stock, which is the Camaro body on the late model. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm running.
Wow.
That's awesome. So which one's the fave?
Man, it was asphalt modified for a while, but when this new asphalt late model came out, those things, they handle great. You can door bang and you don't get all out of whack if you're touching tires or anything. And our track, we're about almost half a second quicker on those. They're awesome. I love them.
I agree, man. I agree 100%. And I just did the retro. I didn't actually buy the full car. I just, converted a dirt car, set that thing down, and holy smokes. I've said on the show already, the funnest RC car I've ever raced. I've been doing this stuff before dirt. So, they're super fun. They're super fun. I'm hoping that at our local track, the RC Underground, it actually starts to expand. I would love to see them. And you hit on it. The key to them is not even just that they look cool and the tires handle, but you can bang around a little bit, because with the dirt late models, and not taking anything away from them, but you get underneath another guy, a guy turns around, you ramp up, somebody's up in the air. There's just, you got to be really kind of careful when you're around each other, where these cars, I think they're a little more forgiving. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And you hit it right on the head. With those dirt late models, you get under anybody with that nose and they're going to get catapulted. And with these, you're just bumping and banging a little bit more, especially if it's like a new guy that's getting into it, not the best control. Put him in one of these. You're going to hit the wall, bounce off. You're going to hit somebody else, bounce off. So I'm a huge fan of these. And I actually I just tricked my brother into getting the RC too, and he asked me to build him one. So I just picked one up for him today.
Nice.
And what track do you race at?
The hobby shop's called Cycle Art RC shop. So we run at Cycle Art. Dickie is the guy that runs it, and he is just the lifeblood of RC in the Valley. He's been doing this since the 70s, and he's had 4 or 5 tracks along the way, from off-road to oval to on-road to drag. He has just kept it alive, it seems like, and everybody knows him, and he's kind of who got me into this. And now if I go to his shop, I can't leave quicker than an hour. I have to stay and talk and get knowledge off of him.
That's so cool. And you find that a lot with a lot of especially hobby shop owners, or just hobby shops in general. You can walk in and have some really cool conversations, or, if you're looking for advice, I always find that the most valuable thing. And, one of the local tracks that I race at, it's actually a hobby store, and they have a dirt oval and some off-road racing. And it's pretty renowned, trackside hobbies. And it's a hobby store right there. And everybody's so willing to help. And it's like, you can't, go to a race and not go into the hobby shop and spend $100 because, you're just like, you love supporting those people. it's just super cool. And then, somebody else will come in and you start talking with them. And yeah, you're right. It's an hour event. I mean, when I go, even to just pick up parts, my wife's like, well, I'll see you in like 3 or 4 hours. And I'm like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, that's about right, honey.
Yeah. And to hit on what you just said, everybody's so willing to help. So I've been in all kinds of hobbies, sports, everything. There's always people that are going to be, there's cliques. They don't want to include you. I walked into this place not knowing anybody. I put my car down and I'm like, this thing is impossible to drive. An old guy, Bruce, he's like, hey, give me your car. Grabs a controller. The steering's backwards, left's right and right's left. That's my first problem. And he goes, hey, drive my car. Let me set it up. And he spends 10 minutes setting my car up, gives it back to me. And as soon as I got that controller, I was just, okay, I'm here. I'm ready. And like, who does that? What hobby is so inclusive and so helpful other than RC? It's been insane.
Yeah, it's so true. We just had it last weekend. So Nick Saccone, one of our racers, and he's a good racer. He already was, but he had the standard radio, and we wanted to kind of bump him up to a little bit better Fly Sky radio. And I'm over there doing my scoring and all that stuff, but I can see into the pit area. A minimum of 3 guys were helping him dial that in. George Murray, Ryan, yourself, you were helping him with it. I saw Russ. Here he is. He's a competitor. They're going into the C main. They're trying to compete against each other to advance into the B. And Russ is going, here, try one thing really quick. And Nick's like, oh my gosh, that made a huge difference. And then Nick goes out and beats him. But that's it. I mean, everybody wants to see everybody enjoying it, right? And if the car will run a little bit better, you're going to enjoy it more. And yeah, you're exactly right. There's no other hobby where you see that kind of thing going on.
Well, yeah, you want everybody to enjoy it. And then like Matt said on your guys' last podcast, you don't want to go beat the guy that has no chance against you. Hey, go on equal setups and let's see who's the best. And we're adults racing toy cars here. Let's just have fun with it. And I don't think I've met a single person that isn't, hey, here's my car, take photos, set up the exact same way I do. And that took me back by surprise when I first saw it. From the racing that I come from, you don't look under your car, you don't share anything. And so I was like, this is interesting. I wonder if this is just this one track. Nope, it's been every track I've gone to.
With RC racing, there's something about it. And this goes back to Matt's point. Let's all run the exact same stuff and let's go see and let's go bang doors for 50 laps or 4 minutes, however it's, and let's just have an awesome time because in the end of the day, they're toy cars. So let's make it as ultra competitive as we can. And that's the coolest thing about this hobby is that, you have that brotherhood or that camaraderie. And, you just don't see these cliques and, one guy out there blowing the doors off of everybody. It just doesn't happen anymore. And I think that's the coolest part for me is seeing everybody just go out, be competitive and having fun while they're doing it.
I mean, walking from, the track and fist bumping the guy that just beat you or you beat and say, hey, man, that was a great race. And then staying after and chatting for that 30 minutes after the race. I mean, that's half the fun right there, just the camaraderie.
I think the other thing that's really cool with these cars is it doesn't matter where you're at. If you're in the Midwest, you're in Cali with you, or, you're in Pennsylvania or New York, you can pretty much bring your car to any track and it's going to, as long as they're running one RC rules and just one RC parts, you can go there and go, hey, I should be as competitive as anybody else there. It's not going to be, well, like in real racing, right? And there's always the Midwest racers. There's always the Cali racers. It's because the cars are a little different. And the way that the chassis are made are a little different, or some of the parts, and, but not with this. I mean, with this, we got what you got and you got what we got, and let's just race.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And I build cars for people all over the country, and from foam to concrete to dirt, I know I can put a pretty baseline setup and then get you close within a couple practice sessions. And like you said, in real racing, that's not possible. These cars, the engineering that Brent put into these things is incredible.
All right, Austin. So you kind of foreshadowed it a little bit. You talked about you're setting up cars for some people. You actually have a really great new business. Let's call it a business, right? That you're doing that's involved in the one RC world. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, buying and selling cars, and then now doing custom builds and setting cars up for people. When I got into this, I kind of found, I was like, I love working on these things, but I don't want to keep buying them. Well, maybe I can help other people do it. So it just kind of evolved in its own little thing. And now it's kind of hit the ground running and have a ton of fun with it.
So if I'm a customer, right? And I go, oh, I find this on the internet. When you talk about services, so I could buy a used car from you.
Yep.
Okay. Can I buy a new car from you?
Not doing anything new unless I've bought it from somebody, that's only ran a handful of times. I try to stay out of the new. I don't have an account with 1RC, and I want to stay out of the new market because I want hobby shops. When I go buy a car, I don't get a used car. I go to my hobby shop and I buy brand new. And I want that to continue. But, if you're looking for a car and you need a used one, we've got it. We've got dozens.
Okay. So I can buy a used car. What if I already have a car, but you mentioned like setup services? Can I ship my car to you and you'll look at it?
Yeah. So we can go all the way from I've got a used car and you like it and I'll ship it to you. Best of luck. Or I can take a car I have, I can add, servos, shocks, a setup on it, tune the ESC for you, break in the rear end, paint the body, anything custom you want, and ship it out to you. Or I've had guys as well say, hey, can I just ship you my car and do all this other stuff? And it's just labor. We do anywhere in between.
Let's talk about that because you've copied that. Did you copy that model? Did you copy the Ron Peacock model? Are you competing with Ron Peacock? Because if you are, brother, we're gonna have some issues. We're gonna have some issues. That's right. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Completely ripped it off and stole the idea.
Yeah,
no,
right. Let's end this show now.
Ron and I have quickly become really good friends. Anybody that's getting a 1RC, you look on Facebook, you see this infamous Ron Peacock guy. Peacock, the last name, sticks in your mind because you're like, who's this guy? What's he doing? And never bought anything, but I always see him everywhere. And then, a couple months ago, I've had the bright idea. I'm going to sucker my brother into getting RC. And so I was looking for a used car somewhere just because I already had a painted body that I let him run the first time. But then I stole that chassis to be my street stock. And so I was like, now I need a chassis. So contacted Ron, and sure enough, he lives 30 minutes from me. He's in the next town over. And, I just was trying to save myself time. And I asked, hey, mind if I just swing by and grab it? If that's cool. If not, just ship it. Yeah, come on by, no problem. So swung by his house and invites me in like I'm family. He's known me forever. We sit down and I think we talked for an hour and a half the first day. And he let me pick parts, cars, anything I wanted. And when I asked at the end, okay, what do I owe you? Well, just give me whatever you want. No, what do I owe you? Who does that? And ended up buying one car. And then I told him, trying to get my brother into this, I might have to come back. And he goes, what other car do you think he'd like? I was like, I'm probably going to give him a midget next. He goes, pick any midget you want. Take it to him. Tell him it's from me. Well, how much do I owe you for that? Nothing. It's on me. Tell him Ron gave it to him. So, like you guys have met Ron. He's one of those people that you meet him and you leave and you go, I should really be a better person. This guy is just amazing. And I had seen all of his stuff, laying around the house and all of his cars. And I asked him, what's going on with this? And he told me a story, which I already knew from the podcast with you guys. And he kind of told me like, hey, if you know anybody looking to buy this stuff, let me know. I'm kind of looking to get out of it. It's been a bit much for me lately. And so didn't think anything of it, went home and then just kind of started thinking about it. I was like, man, I love working on these things. Ron's a nice guy. Like maybe I should talk to him. And, so I gave him a call. He said, yeah, come back by. We can chat. And went in and kind of felt things out between each other because I looked at it as I don't want to take this thing that makes Ron happy, remove it from his life. Yeah. And then just he's left with nothing. He has a legacy to it. And so I told him my first thing is I don't want to do this and take it from you. I want to be partners on this. So you can take whatever capacity you want and I'll take the rest. And that's kind of what we've done is if we've partnered and he's not doing the resale stuff, he still buys and, people contact him, but he takes on whatever he wants on the background. If it's building cars, if it's talking to people, it's kind of been, it's this partnership that we created. And it's only been, a month or two old now. So it's very new and we're figuring out day to day, but man, we're having a ton of fun with it.
Wow. It's crazy because you know the story. You spent an hour and a half with him, and you know he gives you a card. Hey, give me what you. That is Ron Peacock to a T.
Yeah.
And what was so crazy is when you went home, right, and you said, "Man, I think I need to be a better person." Ron Peacock does that to almost everyone he meets. And you were telling this story, and I am a bit of a softie, especially when it comes to him. You know, it's hard not to get a little welled up because exactly what he did for you, Austin, is what he did for me.
Yep.
And just he, oh man, he just softened me and the way I needed to be. So such a cool story. And now, you know, when we talked in that original podcast, Ron mentioned he wants somebody to carry the torch for him, and you're doing that. And I think that's just an incredible thing, and so important for not only, you know, the 1RC community. I mean, because we are pretty tight knit. I think you've found that, you know, we don't stray. We work together. You know, Charlie Kuzma, Digital Fabrication. I mean, I talk to that guy all the time.
Yep.
Love him to death. You know, Ron has just brought so many people together, and now you get to continue that. And what a cool story. You know, I can't say enough about it. I'm just so excited that Ron picked you, and you had the wherewithal to say, yeah, I think I need this. I think I need this in my life. It makes me happy. And, you know, and just talking with you here for the past 10 minutes or 20 minutes or so, it's like, I'm going to call you Little Ron. I mean, I know your name's Austin, but I just mean that it's so cool what you're doing. So let's talk some more about it.
So me and Ron sat down, and like I said in the beginning, I wanted to pay tribute to Ron and everything he's done. But then Ron didn't want to take any credit for anything, as Ron wouldn't. Right. And so we tried to meet back and forth. I said, well, you know, it's got to be something that, you know, I can carry on when you're gone. And, you know, it can't just be your name. So let's think of something else. And so obviously 1RC, you know, what could we call it? And, you know, okay, what about the 1RC Garage? And I was like, what about Ron Peacock's 1RC Garage? And he's like, no, I don't want my name on it. This is your thing. Like, I don't want to take away from what you're doing. I was like, well, we're doing it together. That's what I want. And so he kept fighting me on it. And finally, I talked with our buddy Gary over at Go Fast. I was like, hey, I got to get a logo. You know, I can't put Ron's name on it, but like, what else could we do? Mm-hmm. And he took it from there. And so if you go on our page, you see a little The 1RC Garage, and there's Ron holding a controller, you know, right there on the side. And, you know, maybe that's who everybody thinks talking to him when they message the account. It's really me, but that's fine. You know, that's how we're paying tribute to Ron. And yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. And, you know, it's so important to the community. Obviously, just Ron himself is so important to there's thousands of people. It's amazing. But, you know, there's unfortunately some bad people out there, right, that have scammed people. Yeah. I got hit with it. I got scammed once. And I think that's why the way Ron did business just caught on like wildfire, because everybody's like, oh, okay, well, you can look at all these other cars for sale, but if you want to make sure that you sleep at night because of you just did a transaction, just buy from Ron Peacock, right? And that's how the name circulated around. So it is awesome that it's a tribute to Ron, and then Ron is obviously involved, right? Yep. But this legacy will continue on. But it gives that peace of mind, right? Like when I saw the logo, and I even knew what was going on, but when I saw the logo, I'm like, yes. It just hit me like, oh, Ron's name is on it. As long as Ron's name is on it, you know, and I'm not questioning you at all, but I'm just saying somebody who doesn't know anything about the whole situation, doesn't know you, doesn't know, you know, when they see that logo, they'll be like, okay, no, I'm comfortable to do this, right? This is Ron. Ron's involved in some way in his legacy, and I know I will be treated as a customer the same way Ron would do it. So, and who just doesn't want to see that face all the time, right? I mean, I'm just going to click on that logo just so I can see Ron's face.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. I mean, his legacy and what he does, you know, for this community is, you know, obviously it's great. You know, people message me all the time and say, hey, Ron said, you know, you're my guy, so you're my guy. And that's, I mean, if you guys are in business, you understand, you know, that's everything right there. And just lucky to know the guy and be, you know, partners with him on it.
Yeah, you see all the time, companies, it's the brand, build the brand. Man, I hope this brand, I want to see it up on billboards someday, just see that dude's face. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a great tribute to him. And I know it's got to be giving him peace of mind because this whole community has meant so much to him. Like, to your point, like, you don't want it to end, right? And so here's a way that it just continues on. It's just awesome. Can't thank you enough, Austin. Go ahead, Ryan. Take over, please.
Yeah. It's tough because we've known Ron for a little over a year now. And again, the joy that he brings to us, I mean, I have a very small friend circle. And because I've just learned as I've grown older to kind of be selective, right? And not be involved with people I shouldn't be. And those people I see on a regular basis, we communicate. But here I've got a guy out in California that I've never met in person that means so much to me that I would treat just like my best friend, and a guy that genuinely cares about me. It's a lot. And especially everything that he's going through, he doesn't care about it. He's more worried about me, Dave, you. And so that's why it's just so hard to not just lose it. Emotionally, It's tough. But again, the blessing here is that you're doing this and you get it. You get it just like all of us do. But you've accepted that responsibility of carrying on his legend and all that he does. It means a lot to all of us. And I don't care if you're just into 1RC or if you're into the big cars, fifth scale, it doesn't matter. If you're listening to the show, just check this stuff out. Eventually you'll get into 1RC if you listen to us talk about it enough. But, and again, they can get into a car affordably by heading over to the 1RC garage, So, but again, it's tough for all of us because it's joy. That's really what this is. It just brings us so much joy that you're taking this on.
No, and it's exciting to see what we're going to take and, what Ron and I are going to do together. And like to your point, I remember leaving his house. I called my brother and I was like, "Hey, I just got you another car." And he's like, "Well, I wanted the one." And I go, "Yeah, we didn't have a choice in this. This guy I just met, I talked to him and he said, 'Hey, this guy has, his time on earth is limited.'" And he was the happiest go lucky guy, cracking jokes. I mean, it felt like, I was sitting there talking to my dad. And my brother just said, "McMahon, like, how lucky that you got to meet that guy." And I was, yeah, absolutely. And to your point as well, like, you guys I see this guy 2 or 3 times a week. And so it's just, I hear him talking to you guys on the phone and, I call Charlie down in Florida and I tell him, "Hey, I'm headed over to Ron's house." He goes, "Oh man," he's like, "give that guy a hug for me." And it's just, it's so cool to see this entire community that can be so tight knit. And we've never met one another.
I don't think you get that anywhere else. I'm just, a fraternity, this or that. It's just something that never goes away. We all genuinely care about each other. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, that spirit is infectious. So, my situation is I have my house, my basement is as big as my upstairs. So I build a track, right? So I got to talk to the boss about it, right? So I got to bring this up to my wife, and she's like, "You want to do what?" Like, "Oh, like you and Ryan, like the guys that you race at work." I'm like, "No, it could get bigger than that." And, so now we have a lot of people that come here. She loves it. She's like, "That's crazy that many people that you never met in your life have come to our home and come here, and just that spirit, and everybody's nice and polite. There isn't one guy that comes down that basement that hasn't thanked her."
Yeah.
Whether they take a point to go see her and say, "Hey, Wendy, thanks for being cool about this and letting us come do this. This is really fun and important to us." They reach out on Facebook and say, "Hey, thanks, Wendy Brinkman," and all that stuff. And now she's just like, oh, who's this new person? I got to come down and meet him. And like she was always supportive of it, but of course she's leery. There's a bunch of strangers coming into her home, you know. But one by one, everybody that's come, and it's because everybody comes with that same RC spirit. Like, we're coming to have fun. We're coming to hopefully meet other nice people. And then when they do, then everybody's relaxed and having a great time and helping each other out. It's not just here. It's not just some unique thing down in my basement. This is everywhere around the country.
This new venture that you've started with Ron, and ultimately you're going to be the guy. Where do you want to take this? I mean, what's in your opinion, or let's look 2 years down the road, Austin. Let's try and figure out. Do you have visions for this business and in terms of where you want to take it, or maybe the next level? Have you thought about that yet? It's very early on. Yeah. I understand, but I'm excited about it, and we want to help support that growth. So let's get your thoughts on that.
Like you said, I mean, it's brand new. I'll probably look back on this podcast and see what I said in a year, and see how far off I was.
Time capsule.
Yeah, I just now, like a month and a half from starting it, I've just got all the parts inventoried. I've got cars inventoried, and I'm just coming up for air where I can actually think about doing anything else. And these custom builds have been the new thing we've done. I love racing, and I built a car for my brother, and I tricked it out every way I could. And somebody messaged me, and they just asked hey, would you do one for me? Yeah, I could do that. And now I think I did 5 this week. So it's kind of, the community kind of asks you what they want, and you kind of just go from there. So the custom builds have been the new thing. I've really dove all in on that because you can do so many things to these that are, little but fun, and it's a fun hobby, so people are on board for that. But as far as the future, the only thing I can tell you is keep doing what Ron's been doing, getting cars in people's hands, help promote the hobby the best I can. I definitely have a website in the works, just for the fact that there's so many things that go on selling these cars and so many add-ons. I love talking to everybody, but I can have 5-hour-long conversations a day about these cars, and I still have to have another job I got to do. So trying to figure out how I can balance a website with also, I still love talking to everybody. I want to hear what you're doing, what works, what you want. If something goes wrong, I want to be right there to fix it. So I'm balancing all that, but yeah, definitely need a website, and just keep growing this and helping people as much as I can. And who knows? I'm open to any possibilities.
How about inventory? So since you're working on used cars, are you finding, I mean, I did see the picture that you posted of all the cars that you had packed and ready to ship out. I mean, what a visual. I was like, whoa, this is really working.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. But is there enough circulation of used cars out there to fill that need?
There is. I just need to direct them to me if I can. It's just like that weekend that you saw with those boxes. That was a Thursday. I flew up to Seattle to race 10th scale carpet oval, and because I'm going to Snowbirds this year, so I was practicing in Seattle. And those shipments were just from Thursday morning to Saturday night. That was 14 cars, and so you keep doing that weekend after weekend, you're going to be pretty thin on cars. So everybody knows that you can buy cars from us, but I don't think they know that we'll buy them from you as well. So I probably am only, buying 2 cars for every 5 I'm sending out. So I need to keep buying more and more. And if anybody's looking to sell cars or, even trade up, give us a message and see what we can do with you guys.
All right. So I got to ask, I know there's one car that's in your arsenal, and this car has been all over the country. Started with me, went to Ryan, went to somebody in Indiana.
Scott Lucas.
Somehow Ron ended up with it. Now you got it. What's the latest on ground chicken? So this is I call it, ground pounders are the asphalt modified. So, I do this holistic chicken farming as a little side fun thing. But anyway, so I came up with a wrap from Carpies that is the aggressive chicken on there. Yeah. So we call it ground chicken. So what's the latest with ground chicken?
I don't know if I ever want to sell it. Maybe that one goes in the museum someday. Nice. I've got the custom photos for it. I just haven't posted it. It's actually one of my favorite cars we have. The wrap's done really well. I don't know if you did it, but it's a nice car. But it'll go up there. It's our profile photo right now. It just it was tribute to you and the show, and just a good looking car as well. So
That's awesome.
We'll see. I don't know yet. I've held on to it for sure.
Here's the perfect same spirit of Ron Peacock. When I got talking to Austin about ground chicken and saying it was my car, he's like, "Well, it's coming back to you." And I'm like, "Well, no, not really looking to buy that car back." And he's like, "No, I'm going to send it to you." I'm like, "Hold on, hold on here, Ron Jr."
No, I mean, if it's got a special place in your heart, I want it with you, and that's the thing. You guys are in business just like I am. And, there's a certain way you do business and there's a certain way that hobbies are done, and they don't always coincide. And I'm learning from Ron to put, it's not always about net profit and, making every penny you can. I had a guy that sold a car last week that he sent me a photo and one of the spindles broke on the first race. And was that his fault? Was that my fault? I have no idea, but I shipped him out a brand new set of spindles and some goodies, the next day to him because I felt horrible. It's just take care of people and they're going to take care of you. That's always been my motto. And, this hobby definitely echoes that.
That one piece of plastic going from coast to coast virtually. And
it's like an NASCAR.
Who thunk it? Yeah. And it's such a recognizable car too,
It doesn't hold the record for most miles that we've got though. If you guys are active on the Facebook pages, you might have seen a Krispy Kreme donuts late model. It's been bought and sold. Mm-hmm. And so Ron and I were talking about that. That car has gone West Coast to East Coast to West Coast to East Coast, back to West Coast. And I just sold it again to the East Coast. It's got to be 10,000 miles on that car. It's incredible.
That's wild.
Wow.
Yeah. And just think of that, that's a whole nother segment of this hobby. Shipping cars around and hey, this guy drove it on the East Coast, West Coast, Midwest,
Australia.
Australia.
Yeah. How about those guys from Ripper Racing?
Ripper Racing. They were one of the first that I saw, and I messaged them and I'm like, "Hey, your cars are way faster. What are you guys doing? Here's the setup from all the way over there."
Their attention to detail is just phenomenal. It's like I don't have the time to do what they do. It's just insane.
Yep. That's actually where I found Charlie. Is I saw the wheel covers, and I reverse engineered or hunted him down through Australia back to Florida.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Isn't? I mean, I love Charlie to death, so I'll hype him up as much as anyone. But the stuff he comes up with, have you gotten any of those car stands? I think you do.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know if I'm the top customer, but anytime he posts something new, I just PayPal him the money, and he messages me.
Yes. I do the exact same thing. I'm like, okay, well, I know Charlie, and if I ask him what the price is, he'll say, "I'll cut you a deal, buddy." And I'm like, "No, here you go, Charlie. Here's $50. If you need more, let me know." "No, that's way too much." "Charlie, just take it." And his car stands are out of this world.
Nobody compares.
Just incredible. No. Yeah. Just love that. His innovation, his attention to detail is absolutely incredible. He showed me he's working on something. Have you seen?
Oops.
Yes, I have.
I'm not going to.
You shouldn't have said anything, but yeah.
Yeah, I know, but it's just so exciting, and I'm like, this is going to be a game changer, buddy.
So I gotta jump in this conversation for a minute because I'm sitting here chuckling to myself. So Charlie and I had a conversation just last week, and I'm not going to blurt out what he was working on like somebody else just did. But he's working on something for 1RC Cars, and I thought I was bringing him the idea, but he's like, "Nah, I already was working on that." But he said it's great that somebody called me because then I know that other people will use it. I'm like, dude, if you can make this, yeah, it's gonna be huge.
No.
So I'm not giving any more.
Wait a second, Charlie's cheating on me. He didn't tell me.
Charlie's cheating on you. We got a little side relationship going on here. Yeah, stay tuned, boys.
I'm just going back through text
Stay
messages
tuned.
and looking at stuff. I might know.
No, you're texting him going, "You're telling Dave stuff and you're not telling me."
No. I don't want
to.
I don't want to be that rude, but I'm just trying to look back at text messages and see. Yeah.
All right, right. Well, we're gonna bring the pedal back a little bit, take it down into like second gear, and prepare for a pit stop because there's so much great information and stories that start to get rolling here that this has to be a two-parter.
I think part 2 is going to get pretty crazy. So I'm looking forward to getting a little more in depth with Austin on some things, and I'm actually pretty excited about this.
But you're going to have to tune in next week to hear part 2 of our conversation with Austin Wentworth. Everybody have a great night.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the RC Underground Radio Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and tell your fellow racers about the show. Tune in again next week for more RC content.